You're coming soon to be our guest of Week of Prayer. So give us a quick rundown of what you're going to be doing with us here.
Flying in on Tuesday, but I'm not speaking that day. I think you got me down for Wednesday, and I'm going to be talking about walking in the Spirit in the last days on Wednesday. And then Thursday, it's praying for family and friends in the last days. And Friday night, I'll present Walking with Jesus through last day events. And then Sabbath, I'm speaking, I guess, at both Frost and Edmore churches. Looking forward to that very much. And I'm talking about Ellen White and your assurance of salvation. And then on Saturday night at the Cedar Lake Church, and it'll be wonderful to be able to come back into that house of God. I'm talking about empowering our youth for evangelism and service in the last days.
So let's break it down a little bit. Wednesday, the topic is walking in the Spirit of the last days. Tell us a little bit more about Wednesday's message.
Yeah, nothing is more important for our faith journey and walking with Jesus than to be anointed with the Holy Spirit. The Spirit is absolutely essential for our salvation, for our victory over the stuff that we need to conquer, for our witness, for knowing and loving Jesus. And yet we know so little really about the Spirit. In this presentation, we're going to learn about the early reign of God's Spirit, the sifting or the shaking of the people of God and what causes that, and the latter rain and the loud cry. We'll talk about where we can expect to receive the latter rain, which is a special outpouring of God's Spirit on his people before Jesus comes. We need to know how we can be prepared for it so it doesn't pass us by, so we don't not recognize it. And then we're going to talk about that loud cry, which is that special last message of mercy of God to be given to a planet in rebellion by us, not by angels, by us. And we'll even discuss how we can know we've been anointed with the Holy Spirit, how we can know that we're walking in the Spirit. Recently, there's been a lot in the news about a big revival at a Bible college close to Southern Adventist University. In the future, there's going to be a lot more revivals, both genuine revivals and counterfeit revivals. And maybe it isn't going to be quite as easy as we thought to tell the difference between the genuine and the false, but we can tell the difference. So we'll talk about testing revivals on Wednesday night and then end with a happy ending.
Well, that sounds like a lot to talk about in one night, but I'm looking
I
forward
won't
to
keep
it.
them till midnight, I promise, Pastor EJ.
And Thursday, you're talking about praying for family and friends in the last days. So why should somebody come to hear that one?
Prayer seems like kind of a no-brainer for a Christian, right?
It does.
But Pastor EJ, I think you would be really surprised about how many people, including pastors, Christians of all ages, tell me that they don't pray or they pray very little.
Yeah.
So we're going to get really practical and talk about how to pray, some do's and don'ts of prayer, if you will. And we're going to talk quite a bit about intercessory prayer, praying for somebody else, persistence in praying for family and friends. In Isaiah 59:16, God wonders, he's amazed, he's astounded, depending on your translation, that there was no intercessor, no one, standing in the gap, no one interceding for those locked into the slavery of sin. So I have 3 amazing stories to tell in this presentation. One very close up and personal. And I say this to those of you who are watching this interview, who have people in your life for whom you've been praying maybe for a long time, or people in your life that you would like to see saved in God's kingdom. Please come to this presentation Thursday night. I really want to meet you. I want to see you. I want to pray with you. And we're not just going to be talking about praying for people we love. We're also going to be talking about praying for people who annoy us the most. So I hope folks are able to come on Thursday night.
And Friday night is walking with Jesus in the last days. Most of us are interested in hearing about the last day events. Why is there so much interest around the last day events, and what draws us to this topic?
Well, I think most of us really want to be with Jesus. We want to see him, and we want to know, how close is that reunion?
Mm-hmm.
When is he coming? Uh, and I guess I'll share a little spoiler here. If you're waiting to jump on the bandwagon of really walking with Jesus when last day events finally begin, well, that ship has already sailed.
Mm-hmm.
And that we are definitely going to talk about events that have recently occurred that would help us know what we can expect in the future. The really important question is, what kind of people should we be in order to be faithful to Jesus through these last day events, through the time of trouble, through the 7 last plagues, through the blending of church and state that brings on the death decree against God's faithful children, according to Revelation 13:15. And we want to be faithful, right?
Right.
And how can that happen? So I would say that some of the things in this presentation, some may already know, some may not know at all. But in either case, there's going to be food for thought, food for reflection, food for prayer, a call to action, a call to transformation. I want to be ready when Jesus comes.
Yeah.
You're probably too young to remember, but when I was young, 100 years ago, we used to sing this song, I want to be ready when Jesus comes. Earth's pleasures grow dim while I'm waiting for him. Lord, keep me till Jesus comes. And that's what we're talking about, being kept in the safety and security of the salvation of Jesus throughout these events that are about to transpire in even greater urgency and intensity.
Yeah. I'm glad you're taking this approach. I listen to a lot of speakers who talk about last day events, and they seem like they're scaring us with all the terrible disasters and horrible things that are happening in the world today. And Jesus does point to some disasters and terrible things that are happening at the end of time. But our motivation shouldn't be because we're scared.
Right.
Our motivation should be because I want to be with Jesus. There's no better place on earth to be. Not like just for the future, but right now.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. I think Jesus says that we're going to notice these things, and I'm going to mention these things that are happening. But I'm also going to talk about what it means to have faith and trust Jesus, because the other shoe hasn't dropped yet. We're just getting started here, and people's hearts are going to fail them as they see these events transpire. But our hearts need not fail us. We can be secure, we can be trusting, and we can see in these events the footsteps of a coming king. Jesus wants us to. He says, when you see these things begin to happen, look up, for your redemption draweth nigh.
Yeah. Words of hope. Words of hope.
Yes.